Hey guys, it's Lisa from thecastlerun.com. We are about to kick off another marathon weekend here at Disney. I know for those of us running the 5K, myself included, will be kicking off tomorrow morning. So I have been sort of slowly gathering myself up, getting my things organized for the race. And I thought it might be helpful to share with you guys kind of what's in my race organization going into the weekend. I know for me, I start to feel very scattered during race weekend. It's completely exhausting, both physically and mentally. You're waking up crazy, crazy early. And it does start to catch up with you over the course of the weekend. So I know for me, like when I start to get exhausted, I can start to feel a little bit more scattered, and I don't want that to impact how much I'm enjoying the weekend. So I tend to try to get myself as organized as possible going into this particular weekend, especially since we're finishing off with a full marathon. And I thought I might show you guys kind of how I go about it. So I get just a basket like this. This is just sort of a cheapie from Target, but you can use a shoebox, you can use anything. And I can keep this on my bathroom vanity throughout the weekend. And so I have easy access to everything that I might need to kind of take care of myself over the process of this weekend. So I was kind of loading this thing up, and I thought it'd be great to show you guys what I keep in it myself. So first things first, I keep melatonin in it. Like I said, you do tend to get very, very exhausted over the course of the weekend. You're kind of waking up sometime between like 1 a.m. and maybe at the latest 3 a.m. to run these races. Obviously, the races themselves are very tiring, and especially if you're not able to get to sleep early, it very, very quickly catches up with you. So I like to make sure that I'm in bed very early, but I tend to be a night owl, so getting to sleep that early can be difficult for me. So I do use melatonin personally to help me fall asleep. You might play relaxation music or whatever works for you. For me, I know melatonin is great. If for you it might be something else, but if there's anything that might help you relax and get to sleep during the course of the weekend, I would put that in the basket. Secondly, I have my Noon hydration, which I adore. I actually was just made an ambassador for them, so you're going to be hearing a lot more about them from me in the coming year, which is great. But I use Noon and have used Noon for years to help me stay hydrated over the course of the weekend. So I actually will take a cup, this just happens to be a runDisney cup, and I'll just pop it in there. So the very first thing that I do in the morning when I wake up, and sometimes in the evening, since they do take a little while to dissolve, is just fill this cup up with water and then I'll throw a Noon or two in and drink that while I'm getting ready after it has a chance to dissolve. And then for things that I sort of use before the race to kind of make sure that I'm comfortable throughout the race, I do keep KT tape in hand. Not something that you need if you don't use it personally. I've had plantar fasciitis issues lately in my left foot, which I've talked about a lot on the blog. So I have started using KT tape and do want to have it handy for myself. If you don't use it, you don't need it. But if you do think it's useful, I would pop it in. I get blister prevention pads or tape from KT as well. I don't always get blisters while I'm running, but I don't want to be needing to run to Target if I do have issues. So I just will have a box of this on hand going into a race weekend just in case I need it. And then Body Glide is always really important, especially for the longer races. So there's no difference between Body Glide for her or the regular blue stuff. This just happens to be what they had on sale where I was this weekend. I like to get a travel size because for the longer races, it's nice to have it along with you in case you need it. I prefer it to the Vaseline that's at the medical stops. So I keep this with me. Good old snag-free hair ties. It seems obvious, but it's not something that I want to be searching for at 1 o'clock in the morning while I'm getting ready. And then for things that I like to keep with me while I'm on the race, salt tabs. You lose a lot of water, and particularly on weekends like this when it's going to be very hot for especially the half and the full especially, you lose a lot of salt and your body can swell up very quickly and it can get very dangerous. So I love these salt stick tabs. The green bottle is a little easier on your stomach than the yellow bottle that they sell. So I do keep salt tabs with me, not so much for before the race, but I will throw a few in a little snack bag and put it in my pant pocket to carry with me while I'm on the race. And then whatever race fuel you like. They do provide some things for you on the course, but if there are things that you know that you like to use for fuel over the course of the race, you definitely have that with you as well. I love the Honey Stinger waffles for longer races, so I'll usually have one of these because it hits your system pretty quickly right before the race starts, like while I'm waiting in corrals. And then for the longer races at least, I will keep one or two of these with me on the course. And there's some other things that I keep with me or take with me on the course. I use a Garmin tracker, so I just keep that fully charged and in here so I don't forget it in the morning. I can't tell you how many times I've left for a run and then realized I left my Garmin at home, which is not good. I also use AfterShokz. They work with Disney on these, so you've probably seen them before or just seen them around. These are just one of the popular bone conduction headphone types. I love these because they go on and they kind of hook over your ear and hit your temple, and then you hear the music through bone conduction rather than straight through your ear. The great thing about this is that if you're out just for a training run, especially on the road or somewhere where there's people about or cars about, you can still be aware of your surroundings and still hear the music. I like to have music. I run really, really slow without music. But so these are also great for Disney races because particularly on Disney races, there's so much going on. I don't want to miss out, but I do kind of like to have music going to keep me going at a pace that I like. So these are a good sort of in between. So you've got your music, but you're still able to enjoy what's going on around you on the course. I wear Injinji socks for longer runs. Usually if the run is over 10 miles, I will wear these. I love them personally. You might have something else that works for you, but these are toe socks. They're a little bit puckered in right now, but they're toe socks, so it almost fits your toes like a glove. And for me, these are great for blister prevention. So I have 2 pairs and I just kind of throw them in here going into the weekend. I personally love the Gooder sunglasses. They're super inexpensive, super lightweight. If they do get messed up, it's not the end of the world because they're not that pricey, lightweight. They don't bounce on your face while you're running. 5K, 10K, obviously you're not gonna need these because it's still gonna be dark while you're running. But for the half and especially for the full, especially in the Florida sun, it can beat down and start to bother your eyes. So I like to have these with me while I'm running. Needless to say, your bibs. I'm not going to hold up my full bib because I'd rather not share my race number going into it. But have your bibs in there. And then when you check in at runDisney, or if you just have them otherwise, of course, you're going to need your safety pins or whatever it is that you use to attach your bib to your clothing, I like the safety pins better than other options that have come out recently. Again, it's obviously something we all know that we need going into our race, but last thing I want to be searching for at 1 o'clock in the morning is 4 safety pins. So they go in there. We're not going to need them so much this weekend, but just advice from prior weekends. We've had super, super cold, especially Dopey challenges in the past. So I tend to have like a pack of Amazon cheapo gloves that I can toss when I start to warm up from the race, and other things that'll keep you warm, hot hands, things like that you can put in your gloves to stay warm if you're waiting in a cold situation. So I do tend to have these in my in my stash of running gear coming into races. On a colder weekend, I would have these in my bin. And again, just ponchos if it happens to be raining. This is just another thing that I kind of have in my stash of run stuff. It doesn't look like, knock on wood, we're going to need ponchos this weekend, but the last thing that I want is to be waiting in corrals, getting rained on, and then have to do a long run wet. It's not a good situation. So I do always have cheap ponchos so I don't get stuck buying something expensive at the last minute. And then for recovery, I tend to keep a lot of things on hand. Again, I don't necessarily know that I'm going to need these going into this particular weekend. I probably will because it's a Dopey challenge, but I don't want to be running to Target during the races. So I keep ibuprofen on here just to have it on hand if I need it. And then I love BioFreeze. If you like something else, then go with that, obviously. But there's a lot of great options for BioFreeze. There's the regular old gel tubes that are good for sore muscles. We also have these BioFreeze patches that are new, which can be wonderful if you're just having like serious hip pain or if your back's bothering you, obviously your legs. This is a nice option. It just goes on and stays there. And these are also really great. if I'm having issues with a particular joint or something, I like to keep these with me on training runs. They're these little, a lot of my friends use these as well. They're these little single serve BioFreeze packets. I don't generally take these with me on a runDisney run because they do have BioFreeze at all of the medical stops. This is more stuff for, after the races when I'm recovering at home between each race. But these are great to have around, particularly for training runs. I don't have it here, but I do usually keep a lot of Epsom salt on hand, particularly for long race weekends like Dopey, so that I can do, max out how I'm recovering in between each race, particularly after the half marathon, knowing that I've got a full marathon the next day. Having Epsom salts on hand before I go into the weekend is pretty critical. I also like having one of these around. It's these, you can buy them on Amazon or anywhere, but they're these little roller balls that are great for healing sore feet in between races. And like I mentioned, I've been dealing with plantar fasciitis lately, so these are compression socks that I have personally. You probably don't need them yourself, you might, but if there's anything sort of medically that particular to you that you like to have for recovery, I would put that in the basket as well. And almost last but not least, this is the clear bag that you're going to get your shirts in when you check in at Expo. At ESPN for the race. Hang on to this if you plan to check things at the beginning of the race to pick up again at the end of the race. This is what you would use to do that. So hang on to this, keep it with you. I don't personally tend to check a bag for the 5K or 10K. I sometimes will check a bag for the half marathon, and I'll pretty much always check a bag for the full marathon because I know I'll want to have like a change of clothes and things like that, maybe a phone charger on hand going into the race that'll be ready for me when I pick up. It's a really smooth system, but you do need to use this bag, so don't throw it away when you pick it up. Speaking of a phone charger, I have one of these fully charged also. I don't usually bring a phone charger with me to the shorter races, but especially for the full, sometimes for the half, I'm on my phone a ton during these races. I've been posting to you guys and updating constantly in the corrals actively for hours before the races even start. And then coming out of the races or during the race, you've got, your phone's kind of getting a workout between whatever run tracker you're using, if you're playing music. So last thing I need is to run out of juice during a race. So sometimes during the half, certainly during the full, I will keep this with me and just make sure that I'm charging my phone while we're waiting in corrals before I check my bag. Put it in here to check, and then I've got it waiting for me when I leave. That way I'm not draining my phone, while I'm waiting and gonna run out of juice sometime during the race. And last but not least, most of you have magic bands. I keep my puck from my magic band on this little keychain. But I never want to forget this when I go because you finish up in Epcot, sometimes it's nice to pop into the park. So I tend to want to have this with me going into the races or in the bag that I check or whatever, just so I have the option to pop into the park after if I want to. So that's what's in my race bin going into the weekend. This might seem totally excessive to some of you guys. You might have particular needs that are different if you take different medication or have different methods for recovery or use different race fuel. Your bin might look very different from mine, but I thought it might be useful for you guys to see what's in my particular race bin going into a Dopey challenge in particular. Because like I said, for me, when I start to get nervous or, overwhelmed by something that's coming up, for me, having my outer environment organized really helps me to relax. And excuse me, I'm sorry. And that only gets more so as I become more mentally exhausted. I can get very sort of disorganized and a little bit frazzled when I'm really, really tired. So as this progresses, as the early morning wake-ups continue, and as you're running longer and longer distances over the course of particularly a race challenge weekend or Dopey challenge, obviously, that will only get worse. I get frazzled a lot more easily when I'm tired. So going into the weekend, knowing that all of my stuff is in here for easy access over the course of the weekend is really, really helpful for me to know. This will sit on my vanity in my bathroom going into the weekend, and then I'll just take whatever race outfit I'm planning on wearing for the next day and my sneakers and stuff, just fold it up, set it right next to it, good to go. Wake up in the morning, hop in the shower. I shower in the mornings on races, and then boom, boom, everything's right at my fingertips going in. So I hope this is helpful for you. If you have tips or things that you like to have on hand that I haven't mentioned, please feel free to mention them in the comments. I'm always, I always love to hear what other people do. But I was just getting my own basket together for the weekend and thought it was probably worth taking a few minutes to share its contents with you. Good luck to everybody who's running this weekend. If you're watching this before a different race weekend, good luck to you guys on that. I love you all. If you ever see me out on the course, please say hello. I love talking to you guys. And I am going to be trying to do more video content going into this year. So go ahead and subscribe if you want to keep up with it. Ring the bell if you want notifications when I have a new post. And obviously, you can find me on thecastlerun.com always, and on Instagram at @thecastlerunner. Love you guys. Good luck. I'm going to be thinking about you all this weekend. I hope you had an amazing time. Have fun. Enjoy it. Disney races are not for PRs. They are for enjoying yourself. So just live it up. Enjoy every minute. Make every mile magic. And I can't wait to talk to you guys after it's all over.